Welcome back to another awesome episode of Misunderstood. I'm Renee V, and I'm excited to welcome my guest from way far away, and we'll talk about that in a minute, Dalia Kemble. Dalia is a life and mindset coach for women who've done everything right, but still feel out of place and are ready to stop living by everyone else's rules. We're already best friends. Blending her master's in psychology and organizational behavior and development with a personal journey of breaking free from societal and cultural expectations, Dahlia helps her clients find the clarity and courage to finally choose themselves and build a life that feels just as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. When she's not coaching, you'll likely find her throwing punches in Muay Thai class, meditating in an ice bath, or reading a personal development book on the beaches of Thailand, where she currently calls home. Welcome, welcome, Dahlia. I'm so excited that you're here, and especially because you are like so far away from me right now, and I've never been where you live, and it's something on my list that I really would love to visit. So, welcome to the Misunderstood podcast, where being misunderstood makes perfect sense.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and I can't wait to get into our conversation today.
Yeah, well, you have a pretty amazing bio, but I really want you to take me back to that moment where you totally felt misunderstood when you decided to book your ticket, your one-way ticket to Thailand.
Yeah, oh my God. Well, I just start with the fact that I was always the good girl. I was always doing everything I should be doing. I was always ticking off the boxes. And honestly, from the outside, life looked great. And I was doing all the things back in the day that I thought would make me happy. And I remember getting to the point of like I said, life on the outside was looking great. I'm going back now to around maybe 2018, something like that. And I was in my master's degree, I think at the time. I had a cute little apartment. I had a good job. Like everything was great on paper. And inside, I was so burnt out. I
Mhm.
was so unfulfilled. I was so overwhelmed. And I was like, I just had this knowing that there's more to life. Um, and I started to question things. And I was like, I'm on paper everything looks amazing, but inside like something this can't be, there's something more, like something's going on here.
What's next, right?
um
Like, what's next, right? That's how I,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so cut a long story short, I finished my master's degree and I plan to go on a 4 month solo travel trip. It definitely wasn't my first trip, and my plan was to be away for 4 months and then come back and go back to the corporate job and start climbing the ladder and doing all of the things. And I went away on that trip and my eyes opened to a whole other different world of life. I started questioning everything. I saw people living in a different culture with different ways of living and people were genuinely happy, and I was like, wow, like I feel like I'm so alive right now.
Mhm.
And that was a feeling I hadn't felt for so long. And on that trip I literally decided there's no going back. So I had 2 degrees. I still use those degrees till today and I don't regret any of it. But I never went back to the conventional life. And only today I really realized like I'm such an unconventional person, so why am I trying to fit myself into a box of living a conventional life and a traditional path that just isn't right for me? So it was actually during COVID that I decided to buy a one-way ticket to Thailand, because back then it was like I really wanted to go back to India because that was where my soul was. That was a place that I really had a spiritual awakening there. And the skies were closed because it was COVID, and Thailand was like an accessible place to get back to. And I also kind of wanted a different experience to kind of come back here as well. So I ended up buying a one-way ticket and I decided that I was going to become a digital nomad before I had the job, before I had any proof that it was going to work. And that was a moment where I felt so misunderstood because people literally said to me, like, what if it doesn't work? And what's your plan B? And what are you going to do? And in my mind, I was like, there is no plan B because I'm going to make it work. And it was like this decision that it's working and there is no other way. And it's funny because until today, I'm kind of in a little bit of a similar place right now where things are kind of realigning in my life at the moment. And a big lesson that I've learned in life is that people will think you're crazy and they'll think you're mental and you will feel misunderstood until it all works out in the most magical ways. And then they'll turn around and they'll be like, how did you do it? How did it work? What
My
did you
God.
do?
Yes, you are speaking a familiar language because I'm very similar to you. in that sense of the journey of making decisions, of having everything on paper be so beautiful and society, supported, and then just feeling that emptiness inside. Like, what there's got to be more to life. There's got to be more to life than just climbing the corporate ladder, which is a great thing, right? It's not a bad thing. It's just not that doesn't fulfill everybody in their life. So tell me a little bit more about what people's responses to you when you were going through all of these changes and people weren't really understanding, or they were kind of putting a protective bubble over you saying, well, what are you going to do if it doesn't work? Like the negativity always, like, it fuels in, and then you almost doubt yourself. Did you ever feel that doubt?
100%, 100%. And I think something that I've definitely learned along the way is that it's so important to be mindful of what you are consuming and whose opinions you're listening to.
Hmm.
Because it was only after that experience that I started questioning, and I realized that a lot of people that were sharing their opinions and kind of projecting their own fears onto me weren't even living the life or doing the things that I wanted to do. So why am I even listening to that? But
Yeah.
it took me so long to realize that, and it sounds crazy because I'm like, well, like I was taking everything just literally as it was, and I was like, oh, it must be. I didn't even take the moment to question, like, is that even true? Is it their opinion? It was just like the truth. And it was only afterwards, it was actually when I traveled to India and I realized like everyone told me that it wasn't safe to go there. And it was only afterwards that I realized that everyone told me all of these things. I'd never even been there. It was based on things that they'd heard in different places. And then I was like, hold on a second, whose opinions am I listening to? And like, am I think it's really important as well to ask yourself, like, are you making a decision out of fear, or are you making a decision out of alignment? And when you do make decisions like according to your heart's desires or your soul, or whatever you want to call it, there's going to naturally be discomfort and fear that comes up along the way, but that isn't a sign that you shouldn't be doing the thing or that something's gone wrong. It's just a sign that you're on that right path. And like anything that's going to be a little bit uncomfortable is going to naturally bring up those feelings. And I think it's so important to be grounded in the decision, to really listen to your intuition, and to be mindful of really who you're surrounding yourself with and whose opinions you're listening to at the end of the day as well.
It is so important. And you're a strong person because a lot of people won't do these types of things with such conviction. Most people like get swayed by the outside opinions or the noise that they hear on social media, or people telling you not to do something that they've never personally experienced before. So how can they tell you to do or not to do something, right? But that really takes a lot of self-love. Is that something you've always had within yourself? Did you always feel this inner peace and self-love and guidance, like your intuition is guiding you the right way? Have you always felt that way, or was it like a practice?
I would definitely say it's still a practice.
Hmm.
Um, I think I've always had quite a strong intuition.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't always listened to it, so that's a whole different story. But I think every time I do listen to it and I'm in tune with that, it's always leading me on the right path. And I think if you're listening to this and you're having that little whisper, or you're having that little voice inside of you and it keeps on whispering and it makes no logical sense, but it just makes so much sense at the same time, like follow that voice because it's never going to lead you in the wrong direction. At least from my experience, like sometimes things are crazy, sometimes they really don't make sense. And when I follow that, and it's like from a very calm place, it's not from a sudden place of like, you need to do this right now and you need to, go quit your job or do the thing. It's not like from a sudden place, it's from a very calm place and it keeps on coming up slowly. And it's from a very like natural energy. Like that's intuition speaking. It's leading you onto the right path, in my opinion, anyway.
Well, I think that's really true. And I think people don't really get to the point of experiencing what's on the other side of that terror barrier that you get when you hit when you know that this is the way life's been, but now my brain is going, but I want to go that way. And that kind of, when that intercepts like that, it can cause a lot of chaos because you're like, well, wait a minute, I can do this, but I want to do that. And that seems, it's a dream, right? It seems like it feels like a dream to be able to accomplish it. But once you get past those fears and not listening to the chatter and those self-limiting beliefs, it's not easy. Let's preface by saying it's not easy, right, to make those huge changes. But if you know inside this, you keep getting a nudge, you have to go towards it. Because you know what? What's going to happen, Dahlia, if you fail? You just do something different. Like most of the risks we take are not going to kill us. I'm not going skydiving and praying that I will land safely. It's more of like, okay, I want to dip my feet and my toes into this kind of area of life that I'm curious about. But it's okay if it doesn't work out. And I think a lot of people have that misconception, like if they make a mistake, it's like the end of the world.
Well, I think sometimes it does feel in a way like you're kind of skydiving and taking that leap
Yes.
when you're going on a different thing. But the way I see it as well, like even if I really don't see it as like an end goal. I see it as like every step is leading you to where you're meant to get to. So even if the thing that you think you want doesn't work out, you're only going to learn a lesson from it, or it's only going to lead you one step closer to where you're meant to get to anyway. I've had times before, like I just remember now having this conversation, like back in the day when I was applying for different jobs, and I'm going back like nearly 10 years ago. I remember being so close to getting to this job, this dream job that I wanted back in the day. And it was like the last round before the end, and I didn't pass the last round. And I remember coming out of that interview and I was in tears. I was so devastated in the moment. And I was like, I've gone through all these interviews and all of these things and it didn't work out. But guess what? The next job that came on was like something that was so much better. And I couldn't even have dreamt back then. And like everything just works out exactly as it's meant to. And I really think that everything's working out for you. And the other thing I would say, just building on from what we said before as well, is that I really believe that if we have we if we can dream of something, if we can think of something, if we have like a desire in our heart or something that's even in our mind, it's ours to go after and it's meant to be lived.
Hmm.
And the reason I believe that to be true is because so many people have these wild, the example that I always give is like some people dream around like going in a yacht and sailing around the world and all of these things. And that would never be my dream because I literally get seasick and I like that would be my worst nightmare, right? But
Yeah.
like the point is that person is meant to live that dream if they choose to go after it. So I really believe that if you have a desire within you or something that you're dreaming of going after, the fact that you can even think about it and dream about it and imagine it, like you're meant to go after that. That's how I see it. And you can choose to go after it or not, but that's your path to take. And I think every single step you take, whether it is exactly that thing or the next thing, I really do think that it's going to lead you to, I wouldn't even say the end goal, but like the next step in where you are meant to get to on your journey as well.
I agree 100%. And I think more people need to make these realizations, right? We were gifted with an imagination. So if you can imagine a dream like that, it can come true. I mean, everything around us was a dream of someone's at some point. What we're on right now didn't exist, way back when I was a kid. So I think it's important that people realize that we think in pictures, and the more you put a picture in your mind of something that you want, the more aligned your behavior will become, and you'll just feel the flow. You'll feel good about everything you're doing, even without all of the noise around you. And a lot of times, I don't know if you've experienced this, but it's your own family that's negative, negative and not understanding. And unless you come from like a household of entrepreneurs who have, chased their dreams forever, which is not typical, I don't think, they're not going to understand. Have you had that
Yeah.
experience?
I definitely have. I definitely have. And honestly, I've come to understand now that it's never like, I think something that I've really come to understand in my journey is that usually the people closest to you are the ones that are going to trigger you anyway.
Yes.
And the reason they trigger you is because you actually care about what they think. Like if you
Yeah.
didn't care and if you didn't love someone, you actually wouldn't give a crap and you'd be like, whatever, they're just saying an opinion. But like the people who are closest to us are often the ones that we actually crave their validation and approval. And it's because we love them and because we care about them. And I think something that I've really come to realize is that even if someone doesn't understand, and even if I can't even tell you how many times I've felt misunderstood in life, but I've really come to understand and just I guess I've come to bring the compassion into the journey that everyone is not just doing the best with the tools that they have, but like they're really just trying to kind of protect you and guide you in the right direction. And when you're doing things that are kind of that most people wouldn't do, that's like it's triggering them, they're projecting their own fears onto you as well. But I think their intentions behind it are usually good. So sometimes like the way they go about it isn't always the best, like for sure. But I think when you understand that the intention behind it is that they're trying to protect you and trying to keep you safe and trying to not like trying to avoid you leading astray and making mistakes, quote unquote, I think then it's like it for me, it just kind of gives me some more peace that it's okay. Like I can, at this point in time, I've definitely like, and this has come honestly with years of experience because I definitely used to put a lot more emphasis on it. But now I'm just like, okay, thank you. I say in my heart, like, thank you for sharing your opinion with me. I appreciate it. I know it's because I love you. And I've had these conversations, like I've literally said, thank you, I appreciate that opinion right now, but we're not having this conversation right now
Ooh.
because it's not relevant.
And how does that go over? How did that go over?
Um,
Like the reaction.
sometimes I tell you the honest truth. I think sometimes it doesn't go well, and I think sometimes you also need to understand that you're not in control of someone else's reaction as well. But the biggest thing that I've learned through my life is when you're in conviction with what you truly desire or what you're going after or what you want, and you're upholding those boundaries, there's it kind of minimizes or takes down like what other people are saying. I think when you have a level of confidence and a level of conviction in what you're doing in your life, other people's opinions have less weight and less emphasis. It's only when you start to actually have doubt and question your own decisions and your own next moves that someone will say something or someone will try to put you down, and then you'll be like, oh wait, maybe they are saying that, maybe they are telling the truth,
Right.
maybe I need to take into account what they're saying. But when you're really in deep conviction and you actually set that boundary without apologizing, oh my God, I used to be the classic people pleaser. I used to apologize for everything. I used to feel so guilty about setting those boundaries and set, like, I would never have said that sentence back in the day. And now I'm like, I know that if I want to live a certain life that most people aren't living, I've got to do things that most people aren't doing. And that's going to trigger people and that's going to be okay. But I've got to be really mindful and intentional of where I'm putting my time and
Mhm.
where I'm putting my energy and what I'm allowing into my space. So for me, allowing that negativity or allowing other people's doubts and their own fears into my life, that's not going to serve me in moving forward. And now that I am aware of that and I have that awareness, which is always, I think, a work in progress. It's not, oh, I have it now and done, I'm good to
Right.
go. It's always a work in progress. But when you're aware of that and you have that, it's a lot easier to set those boundaries and to be like, okay, like we're not having this conversation right now. And back in the day, I think I would have felt that I needed to explain that or give a reason. And now I'm just like, no, I don't need to give a reason. Like that is my boundary and that is good enough. But it definitely takes time and practice to get there for sure. Like I've definitely done a lot of work around that, and it's definitely something I help clients with as well.
Yes. And I found in my older age, I found like with that wisdom as well, where the people pleasing, I'm a recovering people pleaser as well. And I think when you get to the point of setting your own expectations for others, right? Like not expecting them to understand, not expecting, I was just at an event this weekend with my friends. Like I have groups of friends. They don't
Hmm.
understand what I'm doing, nor are they interested, and that's okay. But it took a while for me to understand that it's because it's not in their bandwidth. Like they don't understand this whole world. And I don't have the time to explain it to be honest. So when I want to have a conversation about moving forward, getting better, not that my friends don't want to get better, but like they don't want to talk about strategy and, how are you pouring into yourself? What are you doing to get better every day to be a better mom, better sister, better daughter, better friend? That's just not in their interests, So for me, I feel like I used to preach a little bit about when I started doing the work. I'm like, this is so great. And it was falling upon deaf ears. And I had to learn from that and understand certain conversations with certain groups are, I can't do the same conversation with every group that I'm talking to. Right. So
Yeah.
I choose
Yeah.
to surround myself with people who are like-minded and also want to get better every day in every way, in every facet of life. So can you tell me, Dalia, like how do you help your clients overcome what we are overcoming?
Honestly, by putting it into practice
Yeah.
with a lot of compassion, one step at a time, because I really truly believe like you can speak about it and you can have the strategy and you can practice all like you can talk about it all day long, but until you're actually practicing it and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is such a big thing that I help clients through because at the end of the day, I think the reason that most people don't set those boundaries or they avoid having those conversations or they avoid even doing these things is because it makes them feel uncomfortable and it makes other people feel uncomfortable and they want to try and avoid that. So I
Mm.
think the more we actually learn to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and to understand it's just a feeling and it's going to pass and it's okay to feel that, that's when like the practice kind of makes progress, if that makes sense as well. But definitely by taking action. And it depends. Obviously, everyone's different, but like working through the different beliefs that are coming up, I think a lot of things come up in childhood. A lot of things we're mirrored of how things should be. A lot of things are how we see other people reacting. So I think just understanding that and seeing like the root cause of where things come from, I think is really, really powerful as well.
So good. So if let's say I'm your client, because I know the listener is probably like, well, what strategies is she talking about? Because I want to know them. And short of being a client of yours, maybe we can give a little bit of a strategy today to my listeners that they could use a practical and tactical tool they can use to either start their journey of putting up the boundaries and pouring into yourself, or just, to try and keep the momentum going when you start having this personal development, journey. What would be
Yeah.
like a tip you would give?
Well, I think the first thing is awareness. I think that's always the first thing. I think without awareness, we can't make change. And sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of the time we can't see things beyond our own eyes because we're literally in it. And sometimes you actually need an outside perspective to help you kind of see certain things as well. So I think even for example, that going back to the people pleasing side of things, like starting to have awareness of where you are saying yes to everyone else, and that's essentially saying no to you.
Mhm.
Where can you be saying yes to yourself more, and kind of like not putting yourself on the back burner?
Mhm.
Maybe, for example, you are trying to think of an example, like you said you were going to do something and then someone else asks you to do something and you're like, yeah, obviously I'm going to do that to make them happy, and you end up like neglecting yourself in the process. So
Mhm.
where can you maybe start to shift that around and even just be aware of that? That's the first piece. Building on from that, like what if you challenge, I'm always about supporting people and challenging themselves. Like, what if you challenge yourself to one time say no without giving all the excuses? Just say no as a full sentence. That's
Yeah.
probably good. If you haven't done that before, I remember the first time I done that, my heart was literally beating and my hands were sweating, and that's going to make you feel really uncomfortable. But when you do that and you see afterwards that, oh wow, I'm still alive, I'm still here, like nothing's, I'm still, I'm here, you
Hate it.
start to feel really, you start to feel really empowered, and you're like, I can do this. And it's like that one step at a time, one next step at a time, one next step at a time. The other thing that I would say, just in terms of like practical things, and
Mhm.
I can't emphasize this enough, is to be really mindful of who you are surrounding yourself with and what you are consuming. Now, I always say to people that does not mean you have to completely disconnect from people who are more toxic or bringing you down or giving you negative energy, because we're not always in that position. But I think we can always choose to intentionally add things into our life and add people into our life, whether that is physical in person, whether that is virtual, whether it is what you are choosing to consume on social media, what podcasts you're listening to, what you're watching on TV, even what music you're listening to. Like if you start to listen to the words of what you're listening to, like down to that level, there's so much, like what you're binging on Netflix. Like, and again, I'm not saying, like, I think we all watch those things and there's nothing wrong with having that balance. So it's not about like, I'm never gonna, watch something on Netflix again, but really just being intentional of where you are putting your time and where you're putting your energy and what you're listening to, I think makes a huge difference. And I think that's something we can all do today. So even if it's not about maybe adding, maybe it's even about taking away right now. Like, for example, like something that I did back in the day when I first started is like, I just decided I'm doing a social media detox.
Mhm.
And anyone who is not triggering me, but anyone who's like giving me negative energy or just isn't serving me or isn't in the energy that I want to be in, I'm just going to either unfollow or mute their account. And I don't need to be like, I don't need to be seeing that all day long. And then I'm going to intentionally choose to add certain people into my life who are inspiring me, who are empowering me, who are challenging me to think differently. And I think that's something small that we can literally do from the comfort of our home as well. And I think who we surround ourselves with and what we are consuming makes a big, big difference. And we always have control over that.
So I love that. So when you're with your clients, when you say surround yourself by, what are some suggestions you have for them to find more people that they can connect with that are, thinking bigger and can help enhance their life in every way, not just a friendship, but just, maybe have ideas or can connect them to someone else. Where do you suggest that they find people like that?
Well, depending on where you are, like I always advocate for in person wherever possible because I think there's just something powerful about in-person connections.
Mhm.
And it could be as simple as it depends on like obviously everyone's different. It depends on what you enjoy doing. Like um if you enjoy, I don't know, doing yoga, for example, like maybe go to a different yoga class or find a community of people who are doing that. And sometimes you could literally find that on Facebook. There's different meetups, there's different events, there's different things going on. I think when you start to be open and look for things, things start to come as well. But not everyone also, I also understand that not everyone has those in-person opportunities. And even if you don't, honestly, there's so many different Facebook groups today. Like literally, if you put in the search bar, the thing that you're wanting to do more of, the thing that you are looking out for. Like, I don't know, you want to go deeper into manifestation, literally type that into the search bar on Facebook and see the vibe of the different groups, like join 3 different groups, introduce yourself in there. Maybe reach out to some people in there, start having conversations, being part of that. And you'll naturally start to, in my opinion, meet people when you do put yourself out there as well. And I'm talking here as the biggest introverted extrovert on the planet. Like, guys, I used to
Did you
be
just say
the
you're an
shy.
introverted extrovert?
Yeah,
That's what
that's
I
literally what I say.
call myself. That is so funny. Okay, I'm sorry. I was like, did she just say that? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I tell you why, because I love and thrive off my own time and I need that. And at the same time, I get energized by being around the right people,
Yes.
which is really key. It's not just around people, it's around the right people who
Correct.
lift my energy up. So that is why I'm intentional of where I put what spaces I put myself in, especially like in person, but also physically. Like what Facebook groups am I in? What communities am I in? What online communities am I in? Like that's literally I actually created an online community as well, like a WhatsApp group for this reason as well. Because I'm like, I want to create the thing that I felt that was missing like my whole life, and I want to give that to other people as well. We can go into that afterwards. But really there's so many different ways from literally, I think that is the beauty, like honestly, since COVID, of so many things just kind of going online, that there's so many things we can literally do now today from the comfort of our home. And yeah, there's just, I've like me and you are literally in opposite sides of the world right now, different time zones, and we're here together on the same screen having like an incredible conversation. Like, and I think we literally met through a Facebook group. So this is proof that like you can meet I can't even tell you how many beautiful, incredible connections I've created lately over the last year or so, like literally through different groups and through connecting with people and just having conversations. And it gets to be fun. Like I love social media now. I used to have I actually shared this with my community yesterday, but I used to have such a love-hate relationship with social media because I always used to fall into the comparison trap. And, this person's doing that and I'm falling behind and I'm not good enough and all of these things. And now I just see it as like, we are so freaking blessed to be able to connect with the most incredible people all over the world. Like, how freaking cool that we can be on opposite sides of the world and get in a room together and have a conversation. And we're all craving the same things. We're all craving to live with more joy, with more connection, with more freedom, adventure, all of these things. And we get to literally create that from the comfort of our home by going online and being in the right groups.
It's so true. And I love how you intentionally use the word get to, because that's something that I had to shift from I have to or I need to. And it changes how you just your whole vibration. It changes how you feel about certain things. Like I get to do my laundry. Some people can't do their laundry because they don't have a washing machine, like the simple things in life to appreciate is so important, and getting to do things, right? Is the better like kind of phrasing than I have to or I need to or I woulda, coulda, shoulda, all that nonsense. But so this is perfect time for you to tell us about your WhatsApp group, Pink Sheep, because
Yeah.
you created Pink Sheep out of seeing a need out there, and you solved that problem by creating this group. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I always I going back to what we said at the beginning around really feeling misunderstood, I feel like as the black sheep, there's a very negative connotation of what that looks like. You're either the odd one out, you're being selfish, you're being irresponsible, you're just thinking of yourself, like what is wrong with you, all of these things. And I actually see the black sheep or someone who has the courage to live a life that is that truly lights them up. I actually see that as you get to shine your light with the world. Like when you are living your best life, when you are going after the things that truly light you up, you're living your best life and everyone around you gets to win from that. So I think the black sheep has a very dark negative connotation to it. And the way I see it, I'm like, when we shine our light with the world, when we share our color with the world gets to benefit from that. So I essentially help support women, I say, in kind of going from being the black sheep and hiding and kind of, being the odd one out to actually becoming their pink sheep self and shining their light and shining their color with the world and just really unapologetically owning and expressing who they truly are, because the world, in my opinion, needs more of that. So I created a community of like-minded women, growth-oriented women who are coming together and who really want to support and encourage and celebrate each other on their journeys. And we really want to grow together. And I know what it's like to feel misunderstood. And I've been in that place before. And I was like, this is the community that I wish I had back in the day, of people giving me not the permission, but and not the validation. I can't even think of the right word, but like the sense of togetherness that like you're on the right path. You like carry on doing you, just be who you are. Like, and I think we end up thriving so much more like when there's supportive people around us, especially when you feel like you're the odd one out and you are. I remember back in the day being like, I was craving deep level conversations and not surface level conversations. And I'm like, I just want to create a space where women feel seen and they feel heard and they feel that there's nothing wrong with them going after their big ass, crazy, beautiful dreams. Like, I want to support that. I want more women to go after their big dreams. So this space is literally for that. And honestly, I love it. So if anyone's listening and you want to be part of that, you're so welcome to join. And yeah, I would love to
So
have you in there as well.
maybe tell them how they can find you and how they can join.
Yeah, so on it, I think the best way is just to follow me on Instagram. So my Instagram is literally my name, Dalia Kemble. I will share with you in the notes. It's DALIAKEMBLE. And you can just send me a message on there. And I always love connecting anyway. So send me a message, say hi, let me know that you met through this podcast, and we can actually have a proper conversation, because I'm all about creating real connections anyway and genuine connections. And then I'll just send you the link to join and you can be part of the magic and the community.
Please send me the link so
Yes.
I want to be a part of it. And I thank you for creating that for people. It's really something to I admire you for doing that. It's you feel so convicted to create something that you were lacking in and you were seeking. So how many people do you have in your group right now? Because I'm so curious of how that is being built and all of that. Do you have like a lot of women that are like really feeling like and is it men too, or is it just women?
It's just women at the moment, and I don't know if it's gonna like. I think as entrepreneurs we're always evolving, so I can't ever say like anything's written
Right.
in stone and it's gonna be like this forever. But right now, I really want to bring that feminine energy and that the
Hmm.
empowerment of women together into it. So it's just women for now. Um, I forgot what the question was. Oh my God, I was going to go on
Okay.
a tangent.
No, don't worry about it. It's okay. I think I asked like, do you have like a large group of women
Oh yeah.
that have like really taken to this? Because that should feel so good for you to know that you're curating this kind of community.
Yeah. So at the time of this recording, I think there is just over 40 women in there, which I honestly, I would like, this makes my heart happy every single day. Like
Oh
when
my
I
gosh,
open this
that's
community,
incredible.
yeah. And I just want to add something about that, because I think this might be helpful for anyone who's doubting their big dreams and anything along like going after what you truly desire. When I first opened this community, I had so many of my own self-doubts and I think my biggest thing was like the fear of no one's going to join. Or what if people don't want it? And what if I'm going to look ridiculous putting this out there? And I think literally like in the space of a month, like we already grew to like over 30 women. And I think it reminded me that if you have something to put out there, if you have something on your heart, if you have something to share, and it's like, oh my God, someone needs this. Trust that someone needs that. And the right people are going to come to you. And don't doubt your dreams because someone isn't interacting with that or isn't engaging or isn't buying your thing or whatever it is. And I'm talking to myself for as much as I'm talking to you. It's so
Sure.
easy to get into our own heads.
Mhm.
And trust that if you have something to share, if you've gone through something, like really your heart is calling you to do something, there is someone out there who needs to hear it, and keep going, keep being on that path, because the only person that's gonna like not that you're just gonna do someone a disservice if you don't put it out there. Like imagine that person, and sometimes I literally do this with myself. I like imagine that next person's life who I'm gonna support and transform in, and I'm like, if I get into my own head and I don't put my thing out there, what am I doing to them? Like, I'm doing such a disservice to that next person who I could help and change the trajectory of their life. And they're going to live their most incredible life. And what is the ripple effect that that's going to have on their family and the people in their life and how they're choosing to live the rest of their life? Like, we have to continue putting our magic out there always. And if you want support with that, the Pink Sheep Collective is the place to
That
grow.
that is so, I mean, I started this podcast because I wanted to meet people like you. And I think that, I hope and I'm like that people that are listening really take, what Dalia's saying into account and join the Pink Sheep Collective. Like there's no bad that can come out of it. It's only amazingness can come out of it. So please, please, please contact Dalia Kemble. Thank you for being here today. I think you are a bright light, and I love that I have a friend in Thailand and you have a friend in Philadelphia, and we can keep, really collectively helping others be, feel understood, feel supported, feel like their dreams aren't crazy. And that's the type of group that Dahlia has created. So thank you so much. I want to have a part two with you eventually, maybe after the new year, because I feel like we can go a lot deeper than, what we were able to accomplish in this time. But so thank you, listeners, for joining us at Misunderstood, where being understood starts with understanding yourself. All right. Thank you so much, Dahlia. Have a great rest of your day and let's be in touch. And please, 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 Pink Ship Collective. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.